Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Ishan and today we focus on the operationalization of the land boundary agreement between India and Bangladesh. The constitutional amendment bill for the same has been cleared today by the Union Cabinet and is expected to be tabled in the upper house tomorrow. Now, to help us understand this long pending issue between India and Bangladesh and also what is in store as far as the passage of the bill is concerned, we are joined by Ambassador Veena, Sikri, former ambassador to Bangladesh. Jayanta Ghosal joins us. He is the editor at Anandabazar, Patrika. Bharat, Bhushan, editor of Catch News, joins us. And we also have with us in the studio Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj, assistant professor of South Asian Studies at JNU. Thank you all of you for coming in. Ambassador Sikri, because you've served in Bangladesh, because you've handled this issue itself, just put into perspective for our viewers. How important and how long-standing is this issue between the two countries?
Oh, this is an issue that goes right back to 1947 because the Radcliffe line, which was drawn by Mr. Cyril Radcliffe, was drawn very hastily, and there were areas of disagreement. And in the 50s, Prime Minister Nehru and Prime Minister Noon of Pakistan tried to come up with an agreement, but that was challenged in the Supreme Court and it couldn't go through, and it became clear that you would need a proper constitutional amendment to complete the leftovers of partition in delineating the boundaries between India and Bangladesh. In 1974, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and Prime Minister Sheikh Mujib had made another attempt, and they drew up another agreement also called the Land Boundary Agreement, which actually looked at three specific aspects which were the leftovers of 47. These referred to an undemarcated portion of the boundary which is just 6.5 kilometers out of 4,000 kilometers. And that too in three different pieces, so it's just around 2 kilometers each piece. The second aspect was what is called the enclaves. These are really, in Bengal they call them chit mahals, because these are really pieces of territory that have been gambled away between the two Maharajas on the two sides, Cooch Behar in India and the other 3 or 4 districts, Nilphamari and others in Bangladesh. And there were around 1,000 such enclaves in Bangladesh, amounting to about 17,000 acres of land, and similarly about 51 in India. That's the second aspect. The third aspect was adverse possessions, which were much more complicated, and because it was a piece of land actually on the Indian side but occupied by Bangladesh and vice versa. So the 1974 agreement did come up with some suggestions on how to do it and how to exchange these areas, but this was never implemented because India had to adopt the constitutional amendment, and this could not be done. In 2011, when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh went to Dhaka in September of that year, again there was a protocol to the land boundary agreement signed, which actually gave the final position on these three aspects: the undemarcated areas, the adverse possessions, and the enclaves. Now again, that at that time it was not a political issue at all, so the UPA government should have actually brought it into Parliament immediately, adopted it with 2/3 majority and finished with it, but there was a delay of 2 years, nobody knows why, and when it finally came into Parliament in 2013 or even early 2014, it was already a political issue and there was no agreement, no 2/3 majority was possible, and it was left over. Now again, when the question of bringing it up in Parliament, and this has been discussed between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the question of Assam, the aspect of Assam came up. First, West Bengal was opposing the land boundary agreement. They have come on board, and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee accepted that she would go along with what was signed. But the Assam unit of the BJP had a problem with certain adverse possession aspects, which was a problem. But now I'm very glad to learn that today the Union Cabinet has adopted the entire land boundary agreement as signed in 2011. This is significant because now you do have the possibility of getting the 2/3 majority in Parliament and completing this issue once and for all. It will help greatly in border management, it will help greatly in curbing illegal activities, smuggling, etc. It will be very positive for bilateral relations.
All right, Professor, I want to come across to you, Bhardwaj. If very quickly, Ambassador Sikri spoke about the issue between the two countries as far as the land is concerned, but this land is inhabited by a lot of people. As far as the human element in this entire conversation is concerned, if you can just throw light on that so that we can establish a basis for our discussion.
It's a very important, very significant agreements are going to be taken place. In fact, what Ambassador Sikri was talking about, the enclaves, that there are about 51 Bangladeshi enclaves in Indian side, and 111 Indian enclaves are in Bangladesh side. And there about more than 50,000 people are living in these two enclaves. A lot of works already has been done about knowing the people's desire, which nationality they want to talk. And there it has come to know that about 99% people has opted India in that, because, and this was very significant, humanitarian issues were involved, because the people, they were living across the border. I can say that borderland people, in fact, they were without electricity, without education, without state, without any kind of security. I think that would be a major issue, would be addressed by these initiatives of the two governments, and particularly India. So that this humanitarian issue would be addressed by this ratification of this land boundary agreement. And there were other issues also, like the Indian government had taken the issue of border area development programs. Many development programs to provide the security and development to the people of border area were not implemented properly, because they were disputed areas, undemarcated lands, because of terrain land borders, riverine land borders, and that there are many initiatives, many efforts were done, particularly keeping the border guidelines agreements were done, that they were where Indian government were able to go for the constructions works. I think many things would be addressed by one go, and particularly what India was concerned from the eastern border, because this has been very vulnerable border in the sense of human trafficking, in sense of arms trafficking, in sense of drug trafficking, and that security issue would be addressed, and that security would be for the state, that security would be for the people of both the sides of the government. And I think that what they were talking from 1974, that India only promised, do not deliver. I think India has come, and we appreciate, we welcome this initiatives of Indian government, and I think that it would lead a smoother India-Bangladesh relations in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Bhushan, as far as Prime Minister Modi is concerned now, it's not official now, but he is expected to travel to Bangladesh either in June or July. And what my information tells me, that the brief was there that he wants to go in with something substantial. Is this substantial enough? Can this be a paradigm shift in as far as the relations between India and Bangladesh are concerned?
Well, this is a big thing that is happening. Whether it's paradigm shift or not remains to be seen. But the fact is that the 2011 protocol on land boundary agreement was opposed by the BJP.
Right.
And now the BJP is on board. Even before the cabinet adopted it today, 2 days ago, there was some talk that the land boundary agreement would be de-linked, in the sense that Assam, the demarcated areas of Assam, in the char lands which emerge, when the river ebbs and flows, would be separated from rest of the boundary agreement.
Right.
Because in Assam there is an election 2 years hence, in fact 1 year hence, sorry. And the local BJP, local Congress, local RSS didn't want a settlement there. They had some objections, I don't know what they were. But now the cabinet has adopted the 2011 agreement in toto. So no delinking, one-time settlement of the border through exchange of territories. I think it is significant. Paradigm shift will take place when we do other things also, when we do Tista also, but this is a major step forward.
All right, I'll come to the strategic element of it, Ambassador Sikri, but Jayanta, Ghosal, as far as the Assam issue is concerned, over there the state units of the BJP had said that this has become an emotive issue. It talks about illegal immigration. West Bengal goes to the polls this year, Assam goes to the polls next year. How do you think this LBA could change the political rhetoric in those particular states, would it?
You see, this is what is the background. When Salman Khurshid, he tried, Sushma Swaraj met Salman Khurshid, and Sushma Swaraj said that we are ready to, give the green signal to this bill. But the problem is our Assam unit. Mr. Advani also said the same thing. So the problem was not BJP central leadership, but the state unit's problem, and that space, what BJP Assam unit created, they didn't ignore or they didn't dictate. Now, Prime Minister Mr. Modi, when he tried to finalize it, again Assam BJP unit and what Bharat is also saying, RS is also very important role inside. So they actually thought that without Assam, if they can go ahead, and they talked to the Bangladesh diplomats, that Assam, that area, I mean the length is less. So if you want to do something, let's do without Assam, and after some time, after Assam election, again we can do something. But Congress reacted, and Congress said publicly,
The Chief Minister, in fact,
that if you want to do, you do with Assam.
Right.
Without Assam, you will do, and after election, if you do, that means you are doing politics with it. Now, Assam Chief Minister gave a letter, and BJP insiders, they started discussion, and Prime Minister said, now it is the time has come to take over. I mean, BJP state unit, we have given lot of space, we discussed, now it is, you have to accept it for the international ramifications, and the domestic politics in our country, always foreign policy, always there is a problem of domestic, in Sri Lanka to Pakistan, always there are a lot of domestic issues, it controls our foreign policy. This time, you know, West Bengal was not the problem was Assam. So West Bengal length was more. And Mamata, it is a success of Narendra Modi's government also, that when Rao Sarkar was there, they could not convince Mamata on this issue. Mamata said that geography will be changed. I will not accept it. Now they convinced. How they, convinced Mamata, that's a different story, but they convinced Mamata. And the taste of the pudding in its eating. Now Mamata is supporting, and Mamata said that if Assam is not ready to accept it, in spite of that, I will support. And you just remember when Manmohan Singh visited Bangladesh, Tarun Gogoi was there.
Right.
In fact, not only Tarun Gogoi, I think Tarun Gogoi's son was also there in that trip.
Okay.
Who is now giving statement on this issue. They are supporting now. Because now Congress has to support, because Congress said that if you include Assam, we will support. So now I asked Venkaiah Naidu today, that now what will be the implication in election? He said that the implication is less, because Congress and BJP, the main two political parties, they are supporting this bill. And the public opinion, you know, there is a state and center, there are some difference of opinions in the inside party. All political parties they face. We convinced our party unit that for security, for the border, I mean the immunity, it is needed. And our state unit, we have convinced not only Mamata Banerjee, we have convinced our Assam unit also.
Right.
So end of the day, I am happy that, and I think it will create the milieu to go forward on Tista also.
All right, so that's an important aspect as well, Ambassador Sikri. The fact that, as Bharat also pointed out, the Tista Accord is also pending. But in terms of Narendra Modi's approach towards foreign policy, and especially India's neighborhood, Bangladesh emerges as a very important factor in that entire idea. And do you think such agreements, with the fact that we're moving forward in our relationship, the Bangladesh Prime Minister is on good terms with India this time around? So are we seeing a shift in terms of policy?
Yes, I think this decision by Prime Minister Modi to go ahead with the unchanged 2011 protocol is a very significant one, because it will send a very strong and positive signal to Bangladesh that we are keeping our word with Bangladesh. I think actually even for the Assam unit, I think that it is very good that this whole issue is out of the way. Otherwise, the entire election, state election in Assam would have been about the land boundary agreement as pertaining to Assam and other issues that have got left aside. I think rather that this issue is out of the way, and issues like illegal immigration, how to focus on that, how to make sure that that doesn't become controversial, how that can be solved by discussion with Bangladesh. I think those issues can come better into focus. So I think it's a very positive signal to Bangladesh, a goodwill signal that that Prime Minister Modi attaches the highest importance. He's kept his word with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and yes, I think he will make a visit in the very near future to Bangladesh. And and this will certainly give him a very warm response. It will lay the way for positive agreement on a large number of other issues with Bangladesh. Connectivity, exchange of energy, a power exchange between India and Bangladesh, trade, and it will encourage the investment scenario. The business community can now say, okay, this is out of the way. If this had been hanging fire, the visit could still have taken place, but it would have not left such a good taste in the mouth with something hanging fire. And I think the Teesta agreement, it paves the way for discussions in an open atmosphere on what to do with the water sharing issue with Teesta, which is related to many other aspects of a joint need for a joint hydrological survey. How much water is there in the Teesta? The water is declining. How much can we share? Run of the river amount in the water. All those issues can be discussed in an open way.
All right, but Bhushan, as far as what Ambassador Sikri was saying, just taking that forward, the fact is that if India had just gone back on the 2011 agreement with Bangladesh, in terms of foreign policy, it would have not sent out the strongest of messages as far as India's commitment to follow through on policy that has been laid down over the years is concerned, isn't it?
Yes, that is true. But equally, what it shows is that Indian democracy is capable of taking the interests of border states into account and take their leadership on board. So you've taken Mamata Banerjee, Chief Minister of West Bengal, on board. You've taken Mr. Gogoi, Tarun Gogoi of Assam on board, and you have also taken, because there are 5 states involved there, they're all on board. So it actually shows the strength of Indian democracy, that we can formulate foreign policy not through diktat but through consensus. Now, I think that sends a very, very good signal to Bangladesh.
All right, the consensus is very rare in Indian politics, and this perhaps is an issue that seems to have one emerging. But Professor Bhardwaj, just to help our viewers understand this also, Prime Minister Modi, when he visited Assam and he held that big rally over there, he said illegal immigration would also stop with this measure, and that has become a sort of a political hot potato as far as Assam itself is concerned. So if you could just shed light on how is that expected, how is this particular agreement expected to stop illegal immigration, or at least make it manageable?
No, definitely. Assam has been most affected state in India from the illegal migrants and all, particularly the Kokrajhar and all those issues, where Modi, in fact, politically used that kind of terms, in fact, and that was, I think, a rhetorics for the political gain, what he did in before the 2014 election. But now, definitely, the land boundary agreement is again an emotive issue, because here about 263 acres of land Assam will lose, where Meghalaya will get about 200 acres more land. That would be an emotive issues where Modi is going to, because Modi gained about 36% of the vote in the parliamentary elections in 2014. So how he will encounter the Assam, that would be a big challenge. Second, the bigger challenge what Modi is going to face, the state government's cooperation is very important to the rehabilitation of the people who are living in the Indian enclaves in Bangladesh sites. They will, because that land would be swept to the Bangladeshi government, and those people would come to the Indian sites where they will be rehabilitated, where the West Bengal's government's cooperation, Assam's government's cooperation is very, very, very important. That second challenge he is going to face. But I can definitely appreciate 2 things very, very important. Is that first thing, that there are definitely a continuity in the India's foreign policy. What the UPA2 was doing, it is one kind of expansion or extending the UPA2's agenda. Or what UPA2 did, in fact, it expanded the Gujarat doctrine, what I say. So that is one thing that we can see a consensus on India's foreign policy approach towards our neighbor. Second thing, what Manmohan Singh government was trying to do, that he had shifted from the bilateralism to the multilateralism in many cases that, and I think Modi is doing in better way in convincing people, taking them in confidence, and trying to develop a power grid among the Eastern South Asia sub-region in the cooperation of energy, connectivity, and all these issues. Third very important point, what Madam Sikri was talking about, the water sharing issues. That is very important. But what India is considering, that we are more taking a basin-wise approach in resolving the water issue. And I think after the Rudra Kalyan committee she has set up, Mamata Banerjee has set up Rudra Kalyan, that she is more convinced that West Bengal is not going to lose much on the Teesta water deal. And I think in near future, maybe after in the post Bengal election, that deal would also crack, and that would definitely, certainly will benefit to the northeastern states where they are looking for connectivity, not only the road connectivity but the sea connectivity. I think, and it would open the developmental gates for all eastern South Asian sub-region.
All right, we're absolutely running out of time. Final comments. Jayanta Ghosal, it's a constitutional amendment bill. This is slightly different than just a simple majority and you just clear a bill. So in terms of the passage, the consensus certainly seems to be there. The Congress is on board, the TMC is on board. So as far as the passage of the bill is concerned, there are just very few days left in the session of Parliament, and the BJP is definitely trying to get it cleared. Would it?
No, I think this is not land bill. So actually the political consciousness already they have achieved, because Congress is already, they have announced also that they will support it. So I think it will be through. But the thing is that Bangladesh expecting not only this constitutional bill, they are expecting fast forward, I mean movement on Teesta. And I agree with Mr. Bhardwaj that on Teesta also lot of happenings are there, and Mamata Banerjee at UPA time and Mamata Banerjee's today's stand on Teesta, there is a difference. And Kalyan Rudra Committee's report is coming, and Mamata met Prime Minister discussed this issue, and she met Ajit Doval also. And lot of discussion, and now she is soft on Teesta, but the timing is very important. I can say that it will take place before the election of Dhaka. That is sure. And it may be after the West Bengal election. But before that, the momentum will take place and lot of activities will be there, Prime Minister will go, lot of announcements will happen. So I think there is a roadmap internally they are trying to sort out.
All right, final comments to you, Bharat. As far as the roadmap, as Jayanta pointed out, is concerned, we seem to be following that. So it certainly augurs well for as far as our foreign policy is concerned, and consensus also, political consensus over such important issues.
Absolutely. On Teesta, I want to say it's much of a muchness. The amount of water that Bangladesh was getting earlier, it continues to get. Nobody owns water. You can't store that water.
Right.
What was de facto was sought to be made de jure. Kalyan Rudra Committee report was ready in December 2011. Has not been submitted as yet, because my information is Kalyan Rudra's figures are the same as that of the Indian Water Commissioner and the Bangladesh Water Commissioner. The Indian Water Commissioner and the Bangladesh Water Commissioner have been on the same page since 2011 on sharing of Teesta. It's Mamata, because of her compulsions at that point, because there were some by-elections in North Bengal, that she stopped it. If she is softened today, it's because it's no longer an electoral need to oppose Teesta.
Right.
Now, Teesta is important because Teesta then becomes a model for sharing water in the 57 major rivers that are common. There are hundreds of rivers, because that's the way they go to the sea.
Absolutely.
But once you sign Teesta, that becomes a model agreement for other rivers. And connectivity is not necessarily through Teesta then. You know, connectivity can be through many rivers, and you can do joint development of hydroelectric projects and so on and so forth. So it augurs well. But if I were Prime Minister Modi, I would not only do LBA, but I would also quickly do Teesta, because Teesta is an interim agreement. It's not a final agreement. As Ambassador Sikri said, you collect hydrological data, it's a 10-year agreement, and after that you can discuss it again. So do it, it's an interim agreement. I think it should be done quickly in the interest of both India and Bangladesh.
All right, we absolutely ran out of time. I'm sure Ambassador Sikri, you wanted to add to it. If I can give you like 10 seconds.
Yeah, sure. I think that this conclusion of the LBA sends a very important signal to the entire neighborhood. It's a seminal moment, because it shows that Prime Minister Modi is serious about the neighborhood. He's keeping the neighborhood in the first rung of his foreign policy, and he's determined even to overcome. He's working on a consensus with the states. Winning over Mamata Banerjee was a very major achievement. But having kept the consensus, he's determined that in his foreign policy, it's important to have the states on board for India's development and for their development. And that message is very important for our neighbors. What happened in Nepal, our assistance in the earthquake, what's happening in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all of that. I think what happened with Afghanistan, I think it's really an important message. It's part of the strong picture which emerges at the end of 1 year of Prime Minister Modi's government, his determination to carry forward this primacy of the neighborhood.
All right, we'll leave it over there, but thank you very much, all of you, for coming in and helping us understand this land boundary agreement between India and Bangladesh a little better. Now, it's expected in Parliament tomorrow, so let's see what happens over there. The political consensus is there, but then this is India. Anything can change at any moment. On that note, we'll wrap it up, but do stay tuned and watch Rajya Sabha TV, and we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Big Picture.